Sekeresandprice from the Historic Wall Center. Our poll question: will Daniel Sprong earn a spot in the Canucks top six? Yes or no? You can vote at the Sekeresandprice YouTube and X channels. Pleased to have back this week. He had a great vacation this summer. Of course, last week we had his deputy, Noah, from training camp. But Rob Williams, Rob the hockey guy, the national sports editor of the Daily Hive and its Offside Sports vertical. How are you, my friend? Long time no see.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I went and saw, I didn't get to see Messi play this year, but I got to see Ronaldo score his 900th goal for Portugal playing against Croatia in Lisbon.
Did you really?
Had a great time. Yeah, it was awesome.
Look at you.
Good for you.
Rob, the gallivanting European soccer guy. I see
for
a Crystal Palace match.
Yeah, it was Crystal Palace. And that was my first Premier League match. That was a really cool atmosphere. We were at an old 100-year-old stadium. It was like stepping back in time, you guys. Like they don't have any, at least this Selhurst Stadium, like they don't.
No amenities.
There's no amenities. Exactly.
Yeah, no.
It is like, I was like, oh, I wonder if like they got like we got there early because, I had to take the train, wanted to make, so I was there well early and I was like, oh, maybe I'll check out do they have like a little shop you can see, like, I don't know.
Team store.
Maybe I'll get a t-shirt or something. Like, I don't know. Like you can't even like walk to all parts of the grounds. It's just like, there's a soccer pitch and then people are there to watch the game. It's in some ways quite beautiful, but like, and and of course, like soccer specific stadium, like you're right there. We were like row 3. I haven't been that close to the quarter flag since the White Cup.
Okay, so what that put you back? What row 3 for Crystal Palace put you back?
I can't remember what that was. That was like maybe cost us $70 or something like that. Or
okay.
I can't remember. I can't recall exactly. The one I can recall, the Portugal match was €15. So it was less than the cost of a inter-squad scrimmage for the Canucks.
Right.
It was unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, no, that was phenomenal. So
it's incredible how they just wedge, and of course, a lot of this, as Rob notes, happened 100 years ago. It's incredible how they just like wedge stadiums into crowded London and British neighborhoods.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Like you're walking down city streets, there's all sorts of row housing, and then the next thing you know, here's a soccer stadium that hosts a big Premier League side just out of the blue.
Yeah, there was from the train station to the stadium, which is maybe like a 5-minute walk. It's just all houses. I think there was one little pub. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then
not
here's your stadium
at all. Like
exactly.
not the way we do it in North America at all. Like, but it was
the really, BC Lions and Whitecaps playing at a field in Marpole. You know, like you just like amongst houses.
Here's your stadium. There's a guy selling cottage pies outside, and there may be a bathroom on your side of the
maybe.
And if not,
otherwise,
just right there.
Just go.
Treat the alley like a trough. Okay, moving on.
This is the Daily Hiviest of all the Daily Hiviest hits. This is. There are days where like this is a Rob Williams day, and this is a Rob Williams day.
But let's start. Let's start with the game and the poll question. What a pretty goal from Sprong, huh?
Oh yeah!
Holy cow, was that gorgeous? What do you think? He's got top 6 potential this year, Rob?
Beautiful goal. I think he does have top 6 potential. But did you see like the Flames defenseman he walked by? Like, this is very much early preseason. Like, that was not an NHL move at the blue or defense at the blue line. But let's not take it all away from him. I mean, that was a beautiful goal. Showed off great hands to finish it off. And that's a great sign, right? I mean, like, he comes in here, like he has the resume of a bona fide, talented offensive player that can play in a top 6 role. So he should be doing things like that, and that's great to see. And I'd like to see some more from him. I wonder I guess the big question is, what is the piece that I guess Paterson and DeBrusk are missing on that? Like, do they need a guy like Sprong? Do they need more of a worker bee, like forechecker? And same question I would say for Miller and Besser. Like, is a Sprong type? Is that the guy you want there, or is he more well suited to being in kind of a offensive minded third line role with, Q Suter or somebody centering it. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think they've certainly got options going into the year.
I've said this before. Sprong with Miller and Besser could be problematic because I think you're going to ask them to play matchup minutes. So I think I want someone on that other wing who's got a better defensive posture. But Sprong with Paterson and DeBrusk is something we've kicked around, and it's interesting because a right shot, right? And you probably want a right shot there. Maybe that's Garland, maybe that's Sherwood, although but the ability to score goals and like his goals per minute in the NHL is fantastic. So, if Tocchet is committed to more goals, more rush chances, more offensive creativity, and I've said before, I am very curious. We know Höglander can play there. We know he can score some goals there, but I am really curious to see what Sprong with DeBrusk and Petey could look like.
Don't you feel like Sprong kind of went until last night, kind of went under the radar a little bit? I feel like
people had him pegged as that, though. I think people had him as an under the radar guy.
Yeah,
right?
because he was a later free agent signing. I think he got a lot of buzz when he first signed with the Canucks, but that's not the worst shout, Rob. I mean, since then, I think it's died down a little bit, and you score a goal like that, and needless to say, you're going to be on the tips of
even the previous
Canuck
administration guys, the late free agent, Thomas
Suter.
Vanek, Suter, bridging these last two matches, they've actually done pretty well from August 1st on.
We say every year in mid to late July, there will be some bargains that are signed here before Labor Day comes, and it could well be that Daniel Sprong is the next.
Let's count actual goals, and again, there have been some really nice preseason goals in Canucks history. We've chronicled that already, but
Pavel Bure, 28 years ago,
28 years to the day. It's really crazy, but. Hey, you still got to do it to do it. If he had done that in the inter-squad game, if he had done it as a young star, if he was a kid you still got to do it. You still got to pull it off, right? So
there's certain guys that you want to see things from in preseason, and there's certain guys where you just go, okay, they're okay to be like, wake me up when the regular season starts. So, I think these established stars on the team, you don't expect them to be going all out in preseason. When you've got newcomers to a team, I think that's a spot where they should have a little more pep in their step, right? Like they should be a little bit more excited to play. And, a guy like Sprong, he was pretty well snubbed by the entire National Hockey League in free agency, right? Like he didn't get the contract that he wanted. He had to settle for less with the Canucks late in free agency. That should be the type of guy that you want to have come in and be like, he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. So you'd expect him to be a little more motivated at this time of year.
All right, let's deal with.
Well, before we get to CP, I just honestly, Rob, a lot of things are going well here for them. Like the reviews in training camp, the way some of the kids looked in the first preseason game, the way some of the newcomers looked in the second preseason game.
Injured Vezina Trophy Canada goalie, but yes, I hear you. Other stuff has been going well.
No, honestly, I would argue that right now the She-Loves looked great in the first game, so they get Lankinen on a cheap deal. So I don't know. I would argue things are turning up pretty rosy right now for the Vancouver Canucks. And of course, if you're a season ticket subscriber and you're accustomed to that awful maroon seat that is low on padding and not exactly up to modern arena standards, Rob, we have news on SeatBeat.
Guys, I wrote my first seat-related story more than 6 years ago. It was a story that it was because of the Sekeres and Price show. The Sekeres and Price show kicked off the seat story.
We're flattered. We're honored.
When Jeff Stipek came on and said that he came on and out of nowhere he said that they were gonna, that it was sort of in the, it was on their radar of replacing the seats. Nobody in the market was talking about the seats at that time. I didn't even make that my headline. Like that wasn't like show-stopping news. But in 6 years, it has gone from like now the team needs to put out a press release. Like they put out multiple press releases now on the status of the seats. It's taken on a whole life of its own, but people care about this stuff, and we are going to finally get the new seats. course, they sent out a press release in March that said that they were going to replace the seats over the next 2 summers. Summer came and went. There was nothing. Everyone was wondering what was going on. They've now said 2025 is the year. It's going to be in place before the start of next season. The wording was interesting, I thought, in the press release, that they were going to start replacing the seats in 2025. So does that mean like All-Star break, they're going to start replacing a section? I don't know.
4 nations face off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I could see that perhaps being the case. I don't know. How long does it take to replace, however many seats are left to be converted? Is it like 17,000 seats they got left to change them?
It's a lot.
The big news, they're going to have cup holders. We saw the prototype of the cup holders. They're going to be different than the cup holders that you see in the club section right now. So it's not on the armrest. It's going to be on the back of the seat in front of you. So I saw a few people responding to me on Twitter saying like, that's a terrible spot. There's already criticism for the new cup holders.
Well, yeah, long hair in your beer.
Yeah, I heard that one too. Yeah, hair in the beer. So, stay tuned for that. So maybe once the new seats are installed, we'll still have seat-related content to share with everybody. But
to combat the hair in the beer, though, the other nuance I took note of, they're taller seats. Yes. So maybe, somebody with long hair, the hair will go in front of the seat because it comes up higher rather than going behind the seat, correct?
Yeah. Taller seats. We have the seat manufacturer was named in the press release.
I know their work. Just great work.
I do wonder, has any NHL team ever had to release like the seat manufacturer like in a press release? It might be an
all
NHL
but serial
first.
Numbers.
Yeah, it might be an NHL first, but the people demand it, so I totally get it.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, the AZ6-5. That is a wonderful model. Oh, everybody's favorite stadium seating. Now, what's inside the cup holders?
Hair in my beer because I'm crying for you, dear. Sorry, Blake.
What's inside the cup holder is also news as Molson Coors gets in. What was your feedback on that? We didn't actually troll for any feedback ourselves on that. What did you get? Were people nonplussed by this? Did they care? What do you think?
I think a lot of people were like, they're replacing one bad beer for another bad beer.
That's sort of, meh, who cares? Same.
Some people, I don't know. I think there's maybe varied opinions on it, but it is interesting that like they've now matched BC Place across the street was Budweiser, and they've now switched to Molson Coors, and now Rogers Arena is doing the same. And of course, this is not just it's not just Molson Canadian and Budweiser. It has of course Molson Coors owns many different brands of alcoholic beverages. So you're going to see different seltzers and they've got a whole lineup of different beers and drinks that.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. That craft corner with all the that's still going to be there, right? Like, and that had lots of different kinds of beer. No.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not up to date on that one. Yeah, no.
It said in the press release, Heineken and Hop Valley will be available, but at that craft corner, there was way more than just 4 or 5 beers.
But so like Molson Coors owns Granville Island Brewing, so you'll see a bunch of like they said that Granville Island Brewing was going to be the craft beer of Rogers Arena. So some of these like sub brands, I'm not always certain. Like, are they owned by the big brand, or is this like a small? Do they have room for any small independents? Our
friends at Yellow Dog were pouring there. We should catch up and see what the status is. But no, you're right. When the craft beer craze hit, the big brewers certainly took notice and went ahead and bought them up and left the branding all up there. Because there was an affinity for local and there was an affinity for craft,
small batch,
and small batch, and the big brewers all knew that wasn't them. Changes on the Sportsnet intermission panel, Rob.
So I think people that tuned in to the first preseason game noticed that Landon Ferraro was on the panel with Murph and Sat, and so that's not like a one-off for preseason. Like, he's going to be a regular this season. A Sportsnet spokesperson confirmed to me yesterday. Also learning that Ian McIntyre it looks like he's not going to be on the panel this year, at least not for the home games. So that's he's been a fixture there for many years. So it's gonna the intermission panel is gonna look a little bit different this season.
And just change for change sake there, do you think? Or what do you think is up with that?
Good question. You never know. I mean, these kinds of decisions, we know that the team gets a say in how in how the broadcast goes. So it's not every decision is not always only Sportsnet. So they do work together on these types of things. So you never know exactly how much. How much was this a Canucks decision? Was this a Sportsnet decision? I don't know if there was anything else behind it beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an interventionist Canucks decision. Of course, they threw Shorty and DT and Murph off the charter last year, and I do believe there's a lot of rabbit ears there. I mean, at one point last year, I heard, they're upset with some of the things that are said on the intermission panel. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like,
it's the most sanitized panel ever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you have defensive breakdowns and give up 2-3 goals in the period, of course they've got to talk about that at the intermission. If you lose your discipline and create, takes dumb penalties, of course they have to discuss that at the intermission.
I've always felt, guys, like that. Of course, like the team wants people to say positive things about them, but by and large, like you want a passionate fan base. You don't want, like, when things are going poorly, you want fans to be upset. You want them to feel something. And I think that's like what's Ed Willis's new book is like, the Never Boring. Like that's sort of, I think that's what you want with your team. I mean, you don't want you don't want people freaking out about everything, of course, but I think you do want people freaking out a little bit when their team's not going well, right?
Yes.
Like it's all about having the passion for your team. And I think that if you have you don't ever want your broadcasters to be just so vanilla that they don't want to say anything.
Well, and if you're Sportsnet too, don't you want like a conversation? Two sides of a conversation is what's great for your ratings. Sanitized pablum is not going to bring in any more people. But if you got people in a good conversation about two sides, that's why political television looks like it does, is to create two sides. And in sports, if you create two sides, that's what brings people to the barn, to your station. I just don't know why they would allow that to happen on their watch. But I guess the NHL team ultimately, has the final say in all this. So that's strange. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure Landon will do a good job as well, but
yeah.
And
let's hope he's not afraid to say some things because, I want to hear him break down the game. I don't necessarily want to hear him just talk about how great the Canucks are, particularly if the Canucks aren't great. Rob, fresh out of time, thank you for this, my dude. Welcome back. We will catch up next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.